And hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to the Beyond the Mic podcast. I'm one of your benevolent hosts, Carlos Zimmermann. On the other side of me is our other benevolent host, Mr. John Clendenin, and our producer and co-host, Justin Hardcastle. Joining us here today, this is today, September the 29th, 2025. It's starting to feel like fall in southeast Texas, kind of. It's still kind of hot out there.
It was
but
about 69 degrees last night.
Yeah, so...
And yesterday morning going to church, so it felt good.
It's starting to feel much better around these parts, to say the least. But I'll tell you what's continuing to heat up. It's the world of sports right now. It's playoff time in Major League Baseball. College football's in full swing. The NFL is in full swing. It's an exciting time to be a sports fan, unless you're an Astros fan, which we'll talk about later on in our program here today. But we're going to dive right into it here. It is time for our one big topic. And what a weekend in college football it was. I think it's a precursor of what's going to be the case the entire college football season, starting Friday night with one of the greatest field storms we've ever seen in the history of field storming. That gave way to an exciting Saturday of college football.
Yeah, we still do not know what happened to that Virginia corner and that Florida State wide receiver. We haven't seen any pictures of them post field storming. We're hoping that they're okay, but I mean, that was probably the greatest field storming of all time, and I think it's going to be the last field storming of all time because of it. And you got to go out on top, but just the way that Virginia stadium was laid out, that you could have, about 10,000 fans just on the field, ready to go when that ball was incomplete.
Literally, as it hit the turf.
Yes, just instantly rushed the field. But, I mean, yeah, it set up a great weekend. Before the podcast, I counted up 6 top 25 teams lose, including 4 in the top 10. And then 7 ranked teams only win by 1 score. Now, granted, there was a lot of ranked-on-ranked matchups this week. Georgia versus Alabama. Alabama's starting to look like the team that everybody thought they were going to be. Georgia, I know there's a lot to be ado about Alabama owning Georgia. I would just say go back and look at who Kirby Smart won his first national championship against before we start saying Kirby Smart can't beat Alabama. Oregon versus Penn State. Again, whiteout. Just an all-time great game. Penn State still trying to win a ranked or top 10 conference matchup under James Franklin. They only have Ohio State, which was at Penn State, but they still have not really been able to break through to that upper echelon. LSU versus Ole Miss. Ole Miss has put themselves in the driver's seat in the SEC right now, in my opinion.
And then LSU just laid an egg on the offensive side.
And, we can talk more about LSU here. Indiana had to come back and beat Iowa 20-15. And that's, after they dropped 63 on Illinois, who beat USC 34-32. And, Vanderbilt beats Utah State. And now, how many times have we thought in your lifetime you were going to say Alabama versus Vanderbilt for college game day in Tuscaloosa?
Not very often, if any. Vandy looks really good. They'll obviously get tested against Bama this next week, but that's gonna be a lot of fun. 16 versus 10. Yep, like you said, college game day gonna be there, and I think that's all the more important for Vanderbilt if they want to punch their ticket to the CFP, if they can get a quality win over Alabama. But the one game that kind of stunned me was Georgia Tech having trouble with Wake Forest on the road, and Wake Forest at the end of the game rolls the dice and tries to go for 2, the kill shot, if you will, to win the ball game. They don't get it. They throw a pick on the 2-point try. Ball game over. Georgia Tech survives, but to that respect, I agree with them dropping 1 spot in the rankings, which we'll get to here in a second. But that was the stunner of the weekend for me, was Georgia Tech struggling with the Demon Deacons.
Yeah, I mean, I think that just kind of speaks to the level that we've seen with NIL. That any given Saturday, somebody can come in and beat you. Mm-hmm. I was watching that game, and at halftime, that's 17-3. I don't fault Wake Forest for going for 2. I think with these overtime rules we have now, if you start on defense, I'm a huge fan of you going for 2 actually, because eventually you're going to have to be playing 2-point conversions anyways.
That's right.
So if you're going to try to win, why not just run your best 2-point conversion play right away? If you're going to have to come down to it and use that to win, I would much rather show that in 1 overtime than in overtime number 4. But yeah, Georgia Tech. It seems like people just kind of are sleeping, and we look at Georgia Tech's schedule, who they have coming up. They have Virginia Tech next, and then they have Duke. So I think maybe a little nuance of learning to be a ranked team, which kind of goes to my Texas A&M Aggies last week. You'll see a lot of people talking about, it was 16-10. I was at the game. If you can't tell, I'm sitting on the third deck, got a little sunburn on my face.
A little bit.
But that's a win is a win, and you got to learn to win ugly if you're going to be a ranked team. And you look at the box score and the stats. I think that tells a lot of the story. I think there were some makeup calls. The officials kind of probably were under a little bit of directive to, hey, just call everything that you see. Which resulted in more than a few picked up flags after conferences and being talked after that hideout play against Oklahoma that kind of cost Auburn that game. But this A&M team, that they don't win ugly before this year. You look at it and looking forward to maybe a night game at Kyle Field, and you've had 2 weeks, everybody telling you how great you are being ranked after beating Notre Dame, and you come out and your defense is just absolutely suffocating. Just absolutely limiting one of the best wide receivers in the SEC in Cam Coleman to 4 catches for 18 yards. And if you're Auburn, that's tough. You've taken 2 top 10 teams on the road to 1-score ball games, and you're left with nothing to show for it.
Yep.
And now all of a sudden, you're behind 0-2 in a very competitive SEC conference right now. When you're looking at things, it's Mississippi State, Arkansas, Florida, Auburn, and Kentucky are all sitting with no wins and losses in conference play, and with 16 teams, it's going to be tough to climb that mountain.
I think for Texas A&M, I think they were this is just my opinion. They were lucky to get out of that ball game with a victory, because I don't think the road gets easier next week. You're going up against the Mississippi State team that's hungry for a win that took Tennessee to overtime. So I don't think the drop-off happens until you play Florida at home, and then you're at Arkansas, and you saw what Notre Dame did to Arkansas over the weekend. So it's a golden opportunity for the Aggies to pick up 3 before you have to probably run into a ranked opponent in Death Valley against LSU coming up in a few weeks. So we'll see how that all shakes out. I want to dive into the rankings real quick and just see how things shaked out after yesterday's announcement of the AP. Ohio State still at number 1. Oregon now behind them at number 2 with their huge win over Penn State at Happy Valley. Number 3, Miami, they drop down 1. Ole Miss soars to number 4 after their win over LSU. Oklahoma's up 2 to 5. A&M is up 3 to number 6. Penn State drops only 4 spots. That was the topic of conversation. You didn't beat another top 10 team, much less a top 5 team, but they still stay in the top 10. Indiana 8, Texas 9, and then Alabama with their win over Georgia able to soar up to the number 10 spot. Sound off on the top 10.
Yeah, man, it's hard for me to really kind of debate those top 2 teams. Honestly, I think Oregon's win at Happy Valley, if we're just going by who you beat and where they're ranked right now currently this week, I think Oregon's win at Happy Valley is the best team our best win in the country so far. You have Penn State. Your voters said that they're number 7. That's where it averaged out to, and you beat them on the road in a whiteout. And Ohio State, that win against Texas, Arch Manning is still, besides beating up on our Bearkats, has not looked the preseason hype that he was receiving. And so I think part of that is Ohio State just had a business-like win against Washington, and it's really hard to move the number 1 team out after a win. Ole Miss soaring up to number 4. I think is one of the reasons why a lot of people are starting to be tired of the AP poll. I think Lane Kiffin's team is very good. I think that they really did well against a stellar LSU defense. I think that LSU defense is one of the best in the country, if not the best in the country. But they were the byproduct of beating a Clemson team in week 1 that was ranked highly, that we now know is not a top 25 football team. And they had not beaten anybody since that team.
Yep.
Since that game, to make me think that they were a top 5 football team. And so now if we look at Ole Miss, who Ole Miss has played, now granted, you've beaten 3 teams in the SEC, all right? Kentucky
in Lexington
might fire their head coach if they can find $40 million to get rid of Mark Stoops. And you only beat them 30-23. Arkansas, who just fired their head coach, put up 500 yards of offense against y'all, and fumbled on the last drive in the red zone and an opportunity to beat you. And then Tulane, even though you beat them 45-10, put up 190 rushing yards against you. So I look at Ole Miss and I say, is that a top 25 or top 5 team and the body of work? I don't know. We're going to find out in a couple weeks when they go to at Georgia and then at Oklahoma. Oklahoma, I think was a recipient of some teams in front of them falling out. Once again, they have beaten a top Power 5 team. But when I say that, I look at Penn State and Texas, right? You have not beaten a Power 4 team all season. It's week 5. I just have a hard time putting them in front of teams like Alabama and Texas Tech. Tech, beat a top 25 Utah team with the backup quarterback when your starter got hurt.
Right.
A redshirt freshman came in. Alabama, as much as we wanted to sit there and call for Kalen DeBoer's job, which, they still have a lot of schedule left to play. This Vanderbilt game this week is
huge.
is huge for Kalen DeBoer.
And you saw what happened last year.
Yes. Now, I don't think Vanderbilt is going to sneak up on Alabama this year. I think Alabama is going to be ready for him. But Alabama just beat Georgia between the hedges. And so, Penn State and Texas sitting at 7-9. Just for me, it's hard for me to say, are you still there because of where you started? And, me and Justin were talking before the show started about rankings and how arbitrary preseason rankings are, that we don't actually know what these teams are going to be. And so we just give it to them based off of last year's team. And Josh Pat has a great thing. He says, Vanderbilt sitting at 16 for a while before Illinois, while Illinois was ahead of Vanderbilt. He was saying Illinois is 9 and Vanderbilt's 20 because Vanderbilt wasn't invited to the AP party before the season started. And now the voters don't know what to do with them. And I think that is similar to what is happening with some of these teams at the top of the rankings, is that they were invited to the party and they have not played like a top 10 team. And now all of a sudden the AP voters don't know what to do with them. I saw a voter, I'm not going to say who, that had Penn State still number 3 in the country. They went Oregon 1, Ohio State 2, Penn State 3.
Interesting.
And I'm sitting there and I'm like, how do you
justify that?
How do you justify Penn State being the 3rd best team in the country? This is what Penn State has always been under James Franklin. And I don't mean that to be negative about a program, but for 9 years now, we get all this hype about the Nittany Lions. We get all this hype about the wideout when they bring a top 5 opponent in, and then they lose. And then all of a sudden we're sitting there and we're saying, well, it's the same old Penn State team.
Yep.
But it's going to be the same old Penn State team as long as the rankings keep putting them up highly because they're Penn State. And that's the only thing is about Penn State, is that you're Penn State and Joe Paul won the most titles in the history, or not the most titles, the most games in the history of college football. And you beat up on Nevada, you beat up on Florida International, and you beat up on Villanova. And then Oregon comes into your house and shows you that you are not at the top of the Big Ten.
No. And as you roll through the rest of the rankings, Tech stays at 11 coming off a bye. Georgia, they dropped to 12. LSU, basically them and Ole Miss just flip places. They're down to 13. Iowa State and Tennessee, they stay put, 14 and 15 with their 2 wins. Vandy moves up to 16. Georgia Tech down 1 despite the victory over Wake. Florida State drops 10 spots to 18. Missouri's up 1. They flip spots with Michigan, who's down to 20. And then Notre Dame 21, Illinois 22, BYU 23, all of them moving up. And then the new ones to the party, Virginia, after their win over Florida State. And then Arizona State and their nail-biting win over TCU on Friday. They jumped to 25. USC and TCU both fell out. And then my interesting ones that are on the cusp of the top 25, South Florida starting to work their way back in. So are Utah. And then joining the party in the polls, North Texas, 7 votes in the AP top 25. Be interesting if they keep that pace up. But looking through the rest of it, and then you look ahead to next week, and or this coming weekend, I should say. Do you have any upset picks? Looking at it
next week. Let's see here. I mean, when I'm looking at teams, I think Florida versus Texas. I know Florida is railing right now after a 1-3 start, but they got a lot of NFL talented players on that team. It'll be interesting to see what DJ Lagway shows up for that. Are we going to get the DJ Lagway that was 6-0 to end the year last year for Florida? And that was the Gatorade National High School Football Player of the Year down the road in Willis, Texas. Are we going to get the DJ Lagway that threw 5 interceptions against LSU? I have no idea what we're going to see. What Arch Manning are we going to see in that game? He's
coming off a bye.
Had a good confidence building win against Sam Houston, and I think that is huge. Boise State versus Notre Dame. Boise State had that early loss to South Florida. Ever since then, they've taken care of business. They're 3-1.
Cruise control.
Notre Dame, hey, you're back home for the first time since losing to Texas A&M. How are those fans going to show up and respond? Are they going to say we're going to show up and get behind this team, or are we going to see a lot of Boise State blue in the crowd? Virginia versus Louisville.
That's
going to be a huge
that's a marquee matchup because you got to think that's 2 teams right now fighting for top dog in the ACC in a league where the ACC may only get 1 or 2 bids.
Yes.
To the CFP, so you could be looking at the 2 that are going to get it, or whoever wins that game is going to be the one that knocks the other one out of the picture, because you got to think, you got Miami there at the top, Florida State starting to fall off. You got to think those 2 are battling for that proverbial second spot for the
Florida
ACC.
State and Miami is this game that I have circled on this day that I think I'm going to be tuning into, or at least trying to keep track of while I'm at the A&M blackout game. But I mean, Miami, you're 4-0. Florida State, you just lost. I think that this is a collision course that's going to set the pace for the ACC. That Miami, can you show that you have finally, we always say proverbially, oh, so and so is back.
Mm-hmm.
This is a game that will show that your program is back to national relevance. The same with Florida State. Okay, it can be a lot of talk about, you just caught Bama at the right time, and now you go, and this is the same Florida State team we saw last year that was 0-10, 0-12, right? Can you show that you can bounce back and be that kind of team? And I think the big game in the Big 12, Texas Tech versus Houston.
That's the one I was going to talk about. You look at what Willie's done in Houston, and I mean we've known what Willie Fritz can do. What he did here at Sam Houston, what he did at Tulane, his brief stop at Georgia Southern, what he was able to get them going into their foray of FBS ball when he left Sam Houston. So he's got them playing good right now. But here's your first big test. Thing is, you get them at home, you get Tech at home. What you've done so far, you avoid a scare against Oregon State. You beat Colorado, you beat Rice, you beat Stephen F. Austin. Here's your first big test, Willie, for Houston, and that might be the game that I turn on for my nightly activities is Tech in Houston, because that very well could determine is Tech worthy of the top 10, or is the Cougar Renaissance gonna find their way back in the top 25?
Yeah, this is a game I think that can set a lot of stuff in motion in the Big 12. Texas Tech, I don't know if Baron Morton is going to be back or not. Will Hammond from Hutto, I got to watch his first ever career start for the Hippos. He played against College Station in 2021, and they got ran out of the door. But he's been making plays like he did against Utah all his life. And so it will be interesting to see that. On the flip side, for me, interesting to see Connor Wegman back on a big-time national stage, really for the first time since LSU at A&M last year, when he had to be benched in the second half, and Marcel Reed kind of came back in, took over the job, and now I think it was a move, him heading to Houston in the portal, that worked out well for both programs. I think he is the quarterback that the Cougars needed, because when he's right, I think he's one of the best quarterbacks in the country. I just think that there was a lot of psychological, mental stuff at A&M that, you got to go get a fresh start if you're in that situation. But yeah, I think if I have to pick a team most likely to be upset, ranked team, I think it would be Virginia. I think Louisville is probably going to be really good. And Virginia has to go on the road after an emotional win at home. I think that I don't know if I can really call Miami being at Doak Campbell an upset. Technically, they are ranked higher. They are favored. But, man, I think that this can party like it's 1999. And this game's going to come down to a field goal, and I just don't know which team is going to have to do that. Are we going to see wide right, wide left? Is Miami going to miss a field goal?
Crossbar, upright.
Yeah,
what's it going to be?
No idea what's going to happen. But yeah, I think those are probably the two games that I would most likely put upset watch on, especially that Virginia game. Which, by the way, interesting enough, another quarterback I got to cover, Chandler Morris.
Yes,
from Highland Park.
Yeah,
the starting quarterback at Virginia. Started at TCU. Well, he was at North Texas.
Yep,
and then went to TCU. No, he was Oklahoma, then TCU, then North Texas, now Virginia.
Wow.
Man, you need a flow chart to keep track of all these quarterback movements.
That's how I feel about Wegman, Calzada, and Haynes King, all of which who have passed through the ranks of College Station.
Hey,
and
you know what? Jimbo Fisher, I have to give him credit. Okay, didn't work out at A&M. But you cannot tell me that the guy couldn't evaluate quarterback talent. Now, develop and evaluate are a little different, right?
Yes.
But he could evaluate talent at the quarterback position. No. And he brought in, and I think we're seeing that.
There was no doubt he brought in lots of talent, but developing was another story. It's good to see them blossoming now. All right, let's dive into this week in coverage. You guys in Navasota, you guys had a homecoming week. So did Huntsville. It was a lot of homecomings. Our sideline reporter here at KSAM, Emma, her dad's high school that he coaches for is CE King. They had a homecoming, beat Atascocita 70-55.
Wow.
First time in, I think, about 5 years is what Emma said, that CE King has beaten Atascocita. So, I mean, congrats to the Panthers. But let's talk Rattlers first. How'd Friday night look for the guys from Navasota?
Man, a little bit of a back-and-forth game at start. LaGrange, very talented ball club. But Navasota rallied off 30 unanswered points in the third and fourth quarter to kind of pull away. Lots of special teams. Had a kick return for a touchdown. Had a kickoff recovered by the Rattlers that set up a short touchdown. Had a punt that got blocked back into the end zone, recovered for a safety. So just all around a great week. I was very excited. The girl that won Homecoming Queen, she had a regular-sized mum on. She didn't have one of those ones that has the backpack straps that you're having to put in 8-9-volt batteries to power all the lights and everything like that. No, it was a regular mum. And for people that don't know, in Texas high school football, homecoming mums are probably the biggest thing you will ever see. And let me see if I can pull this up. Okay, here. This is just the first one. I don't know if we can get that on camera. That is the size of her body. She is carrying the size of her body on her, and it is insane how they start taking orders in July now.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
It's insane. But yeah, I mean, overall a great night. Got to honor they did a decades thing, so they had everybody from the class of 1976 all the way forward through 2026 there to honor them. But yeah, just a great night of football, celebrating what Texas high school football is all about.
Yeah. And what was the final in that one?
Navasota won 65-27. So they go 56-7, 56-21, and 65-27. Luckily, I have a bye week this week, so I get a little bit of a respite. But yeah, Rattlers 4-1 going into district play. Have a chance to make a lot of noise after going 3 rounds deep in the first year under a new head coach last year. And things are buzzing down Highway 90.
Yep. Things are buzzing up Highway 19 on 11th Street, Highway 30, whatever you want to call it, every entry into this town. Hornets able to get off the deck, get that first district win, knocked off the West Fork Gators. 38-21 on homecoming night. It was an awesome night. They honored the most recent class of inductees to the Hall of Champions in Huntsville ISD. I'll read them off real quick. Pastor Reagan Cooksey at Northside Baptist. Percy Howard Jr., Vance Howard, Morris Johnson, Holly and B.J. McMichael, and Cale Murray were all honored between the first and second quarters. So big congratulations to them. And it was, in terms of the ball game, it was interesting to say the least. The offense of Huntsville looked like it was clicking on all cylinders when they had the ball. They felt confident with it, and don't let the final score fool you. It was interesting, but the score was 24-14 at the half. But they got to that 24 in an interesting way. All 4 of those scores were touchdowns, but failed special teams. So you talk about how Navasota had good special teams on their front. It was just not the case for Huntsville this last Friday. I tallied it up. The opening kickoff, I don't know if Huntsville was just not prepared for it or not, but it was a pooch over the middle, and people need to realize once it's past 10 yards, that's a live ball.
Yes.
So just a miscue there. There were blocked extra points, bobbled snap, blocked punt. It all around wasn't a great night special teams wise, but at the end of the day, it's kind of like we were talking about the A&M Auburn game. You got the win that you needed, and I think that's what boded well for Huntsville. It was once again the Trayshawn Brown show. 27 carries, 162 yards, 4 touchdowns on the ground, doubling his season total, average 6 yards a carry. He handled the bulk of it, and he was homecoming king too. So it was an all around good night for old number 5, and the homecoming queen was one of the ones his running mate, if you will, Jaslyn Hill, who's on the girls basketball team at Huntsville. So just congratulations to Trayshawn Brown and Jaslyn Hill for that. But yeah, it was an all around fun night. And now, if you're Huntsville, you got that win in district play, but
sorry about that.
Looking ahead, good old Port Neches Groves, who Huntsville has had 2 drag-out dogfights with the last 2 years. You got to go to their place now. I'm billing it Huntsville versus P&G 3, like you would bill the Rocky movies. I mean, first one at NRG Stadium, playoff game. Winner goes to the state semis. Back and forth battle there. Last year, played them here. Knockout, drag-out dogfight. A field goal that would have tied the game and sent it to overtime, dinked off the left upright. It was that close to going through. And now you got to go to the reservation. So it'll be interesting to see what Huntsville does coming up this week.
Yeah, excited for that game. I was going to go with y'all. Had some other things I'm going to go to, so I can bring some different coverage things to our podcast for next week. So make sure you stay tuned.
Yes,
and it'll be a fun one. But yeah, man, P&G is just one of those programs that everybody in the state of Texas knows about. Huntsville, very much the same way. I think that game against P&G a couple years ago really set the stage for Huntsville to turn into this state power that it really has become in 5A Division II. It's going to be tough. They're going to be tomahawk chopping.
Oh, they will.
When I was in high school many years ago at College Station, we played them 2 years in a row. We played them in 2016 and we played them in 2017. Roshan Johnson, sophomore and junior years of high school before he went to the University of Texas and then became an all-conference running back and is now in the NFL with the Bears. And I remember talking to the guys, and they were like, dude, I hate that tomahawk chop because we would pull up to the school at 7:30 in the morning, and all you would hear from the stadium was
to get them ready
for that. Just some classic games that were played there, but those are the kind of matchups that kind of have a little bit more juice because of the tradition and the pageantry that you're going to see when you go and sit in front of 15,000 people, 20,000 people at the reservation.
I think this is he'll tell Coach Mabus will tell you at the end of the day that this will be the furthest thing from his mind, but he's got a lot of ties to the Joseph family, having played at Katy under Gary Joseph when Gary was an assistant. Gary's son Jeff, head coach at P&G. He showed me and Brian Adams a picture, and he also showed me again whenever me and Colton were doing an interview with him one day, Colton from the Item, and it's a picture of Todd talking. I don't remember if he was talking to Gary or not, but you can see in the background Jeff Joseph, a ball boy. So there's a lot of history in this matchup that's setting up on Friday. And again, Coach Mabus will tell you, I'll probably ask him on the coach's show tonight how he feels about that, and he's going to be like, they're great friends of ours, but at the end of the day, we got to go out there and win a football game, and that's exactly what the mindset will be for Huntsville on Friday night. Don't forget, catch it right here, KSAM YouTube channel, and over the air on KSAM. We get on the air at 6:15 p.m. Friday night in P&G.
Yeah, and just real quick before we move on, how about Jeff Joseph? You're the son of one of the most legendary high school coaches in the state of Texas. I mean, it's him. Who was the coach? Coach Dennehy down at Cal Allen. I can't remember who. Larry Allen at Highland Park. I mean, those are probably 3 of the 4 that are on the Mount Rushmore of Texas high school football coaches. Coach Buchanan up at Alito is probably also on there.
Yes.
And all you do is you go to one of the most storied programs in the history of the state of Texas, who probably has more history than your dad's program, and then you win state championships. So, I mean, that there's a lot of pressure on him already, but for him to go and do that and carve out his own legacy, I have to give my props off to Jeff Joseph.
Yeah, no, he's done a great job.
Yes.
At P&G, taking that program to new heights. I think when they won state, that's their first title since '75. Yeah, was my understanding of it. So it'd been a very
close a few times, but they hadn't really punched it through, and that was his first year.
Yeah,
first year as a head coach. Go to one of the most pressure-packed jobs in the state of Texas, and then win a state championship.
Turn him into a champion, and now he's got another opportunity in front of him. Both of these coaches do this week. I feel like it is safe to say whoever comes out on top in this game on Friday will put themselves in the catbird seat for the district title. That's kind of where we're at right now. I mean, Huntsville was projected number 1 in the district by Dave Campbell's, and P&G was right there with them. So now you got 1 and 2 going at each other on Friday night, and can't say I'm excited for it. Yep. I'm going to be on fumes coming in from Las Cruces, and trying to call that game, both of those games. But it's going to be really really good. How much do we got? We got 4 minutes left. All right. Let's see. Flip over to Sam real quick.
Okay.
Got New Mexico State coming up on Thursday night. Should be fun matchup going on the road. Bearkats still looking for that first win of the season, and this is a good opportunity for the Bearkats on the gridiron to go pick up a big win on the road, and no less, because now you're into the bulk of conference games, and as seen through this college football season so far in Conference USA, the conference is still very much in play for everybody in the league. I don't think there is a clear-cut front runner, so other than maybe La Tech and Western Kentucky, who are off to good starts in conference play. But otherwise, everyone's 1-0 or 0-1, so it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. And then I also, on Saturday, had an opportunity to go catch some Bearcat volleyball at the Coliseum. They opened conference play against UTEP. Lost both their matches on Friday and Saturday, but they faced the best in the league, and they took UTEP to the brink in that match on Saturday. So I'm excited to see what will come for Brenda Gray this year. I believe in her 42nd or 43rd season as head coach at Sam Houston, one of the longest tenured coaches in all of college volleyball.
I would say in all of college sports.
Maybe. So I think there's a couple volleyball coaches that are above her on that front. Actually, Debbie Humphreys at Stephen F. Austin has been there at Stephen F. a couple years longer. So it'll be interesting to see how they play. But if they took the best of the league, the preseason favorite, to the brink, watch out for the Bearkats on the volleyball court to make some noise in CUSA.
Yeah, no, I think that Sam Houston in both football and volleyball, basketball, baseball, softball, all have opportunities this year to really make noise. It's just going to be, I think if you can hang tough with those top-tier teams and then take care of business with kind of the teams at the bottom of the league and all those different sports, you have a real opportunity to continue kind of asserting yourself as one of the better athletic programs in Conference USA and in the group of six. I think last year we saw that with football. Obviously Hunter Watson gets hurt against Western Kentucky, and that cost you. But, you still won 10 games. You made a bowl game.
Yep.
And you're absolutely right. When I look at this, Kennesaw State, who you beat, and Delaware, who's new to the conference, both are 1-0. Jacksonville State's 1-0. But I look at your schedule, and you got a lot of guys, or I say a lot of guys, you have a lot of teams that are going to be at home for you. I say at home. Down at Shell Energy. I think that this is going to be a very big step for you if you can take care of business versus New Mexico State and Las Cruces tonight. Or not tonight, on Saturday. Thursday. Conference USA football schedule.
Don't say tonight. I got play.
You have Coach's Show tonight.
Coach's Show tonight.
Which will be live here on the YouTube channel.
Yes,
so
coming up.
Make sure you either tune in or go to Chick-fil-A tonight for that. But absolutely, I think it will be a good week for Sam Houston on the football field.
I think so as well. It'll be intriguing to see just how they got to get out of the gate quick. And I think they have from what I've been hearing, they have the confidence and the wherewithal to do just that.
The good news is they are ranked number 1 in the ESPN bottom 10, so there's only upward trajectory to go. You can't get any lower.
Nope. All right, that does it for our weekend coverage, and now we can probably get into what I'll probably end up dubbing the rant portion of the of the podcast today. Let's talk NFL. Quite the interesting weekend.
Oh man, I got all the scores pulled up right here.
So do I. Texans post their third shutout in franchise history. Yes, 23-year history.
Wow.
That's only the third time they've shut out an opponent, and it's been done to the Titans twice. So, I mean, I guess...
Give them the jerseys. I'm sorry. You have to give up the jerseys.
The Oiler
throwbacks. You have to give them up. Yeah. You can't... I remember a couple years ago, J.J. Watt goes, hey, we just beat y'all with Case Keenum. While you're wearing those jerseys. You are not allowed to have them anymore.
Yeah.
The NFL needs to come in. We need a UN binding resolution that says the Tennessee Titans are not allowed to wear those jerseys anymore.
As long as Amy Adams Strunk is in charge of the Titans, that unfortunately won't be the case. But Stroud looked great, 22 for 28, 230 yards, and 2 touchdowns. So it was good to see him get back to form a little bit. But who do the Texans have next? I don't remember off the top of my head. I'll pull that up real quick. Oh, boy, at Baltimore. Well,
Nanambi Matabuke is out for the rest of the season with a neck injury, so that just got announced. Hoping that he makes a quick recovery here on the show, but local guy from down in Houston.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, that is something that you have to be aware of. That Lamar Jackson's out, or came out of the last game with a hamstring injury.
He did,
and for a dual threat guy, those soft tissue injuries. Do you want to play him at 80% and risk him doing something worse, or are you going to give him a couple weeks off if you're the Ravens?
And just let Cooper Rush
go. Former Cowboy. You do not play another divisional game until November. So you have over a month and a half for Lamar Jackson to get right. Because at this point at 1-3, you're just trying to win the division.
Right. And the big thing that came out a couple hours ago before we came on here, the Browns have traded for Texans outside offensive tackle Cam Robinson.
Yes.
Which is an interesting thing there. That it fills a need for Cleveland, to say the least. I'm trying to see here. It is just a straight trade. Cam Robinson in exchange for a swap of late round picks in 2027. So not much on the back end of that trade. Justin, I kind of call you a Texans guru, if you will. I mean, just how do you feel about that? Not much losing there. Robinson was just on a one-year deal. The Texans paid $8.75 million of that $12 million contract. So the Browns are only on the hook for $2 million base salary. And so I don't think there's a whole lot.
No, it strikes me as definitely just maybe moving some money around. On the surface, it's like, why the heck are we getting rid of offensive line depth? But at the same time, it's like it's probably just a money move, and you get a late round pick out of it, and hey, maybe that pick's the next Tom Brady. Who knows?
Who knows? Some other games that struck me as interesting yesterday, to say the least. Trying to look at it here.
Chargers and Giants.
Chargers and Giants. I caught the tail end of that when it was on bonus coverage on CBS. And, all right, New York, Jackson Dart, your first start, albeit wasn't pretty, but a win's a win, and you take down a undefeated Charger team at home. So I find that that's pretty quality for them. Colts undefeated no more. Rams able to beat them.
Did you see how they lost?
I did not know.
Adonai Mitchell, 73-yard, 74-yard touchdown. I mean, catches it, spins out. Going to be one of the greatest catches and plays you'll see this year. And as he's taking the ball out to stick it out, ball goes out of his hands through the back of the end zone, touchback, and they lose 27 to
brutal.
20.
Wow,
that would have tied it.
Would have tied it. I don't know what quarter it was in, but that's one of those moments that you look there and you say,
"My
man,
goodness."
you give the ball back to the Rams, and just tough break.
Tough
for Danny Dimes. Speaking of Giants,
that one there too. Blowout of the weekend probably goes to the Patriots. Is New England back? No, they played Carolina. 42-13 win for the Pats. Chiefs beat Ravens by 17, granted without Lamar Jackson in that fourth quarter. So Chiefs looks like after that struggling start they had, it looks like they're back to form. And we'll dive into Sunday Night Football. Packers and Cowboys up in the Big D. And this is, I'm just going to come out and say it, ties in the NFL are stupid. I think they need to adopt what college does.
Yes.
And I don't know, maybe I don't know about the.
Here's a counterpoint to that. I think the college overtime rules are the stupidest overtime rules we have in any sport.
What I don't agree with in the overtime rules in college is the alternating 2-point conversion.
Exactly.
I'm not a fan of that. I'm fine with first overtime, straight up score, but the other team gets a chance to possess. That's what I don't agree with in the NFL. you could lose a game on a coin flip.
Well, not anymore because
Did they get rid of that?
They changed that.
Did they change that?
Both teams,
Yeah.
as long as you don't allow a touchdown on the first drive, you are given the chance to possess the football.
No, I know, but so I knew that. But the thing is, if you lose on a coin flip and you give a touchdown up, the game's over.
Yeah.
No,
but
you still have to have a chance to have possession
No.
because of the
if
Bills and the Chiefs overtime. But didn't they change it after that?
It's so what the overtime rules for the NFL are now is if a team kicks a field goal, the other team
Gets
still
a
has
chance
an
to possess.
opportunity to go
Okay.
down and score a touchdown. I don't think we're going to see that much change to the NFL overtime rules. I am okay with ties in sports in the regular season.
I mean, because I know it's not a thing in the postseason. I know
It's not a thing in
Yeah.
the postseason, and call me, anti-fun. I think ties, that those two teams played about as even as they could.
Oh yeah.
Now, granted, the clock operator, you have home field advantage. Look, if that ball hit, you just let that clock hit double zero or triple zeros, and if they rule that the ball hit the ground with 1 second left, they can go back and take a look at it and then put a second back on the clock to let them kick the field goal. How do you stop the clock that fast on a pass breakup? Now, also, that was some of the worst clock management on a final play with a timeout in your pocket that you let 18 seconds run off the clock.
Yeah, that
you
was
call a
horrible.
timeout, you take one shot, you take two shots, and then you can kick the field goal. I don't understand why we're sitting there letting Jordan Love just, okay, hey, here's the mic. Hey, we're going to audible,
Like, what are we
That's
doing?
where are we going
What
for
it
dinner
was.
after this, guys? Okay, here we
exactly
go,
what it
hike,
was.
and then throw the football with, and luckily the clock operator somehow was able to stop that clock before it hit triple zeros. But
But that fourth quarter was that was something. The back and forth. I mean, it was just good old Sunday night football. I mean, you have to have a game like that every year.
probably the game of the year so far in the NFL. And that is unfortunate that it ends in a tie. But I think that it's confusing as a Dallas fan. I am confused, to say the least. We almost beat the Eagles on the road. Should have really beaten them.
Sure.
And then you beat the Giants in overtime. And then you go out and you lay an absolute egg to the Bears. And I'm sitting there and I'm
was
like,
funny.
okay, well, you know what, man? We can't freaking rush the quarterback. We can't protect the quarterback.
If only you
and-
had somebody that could do that.
Oh, I know. Well, I will say, there is a guy
Now here's a guy.
that
This is Sunday Night Football.
Name is
It's
James.
a guy.
His name is James Houston. Okay, he played at Jackson State.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, his rookie year for the Lions, he had 8 sacks. All right, he did absolutely nothing for the Lions after that, and then spent last year on the Cleveland Browns practice squad, or didn't really do anything. And then last night he had a fumble recovery, or he forced a fumble. He had another sack, and they're starting to show concepts of a pass rush. The kid from Boston College that they drafted in the second round looks like he can be a pretty good player, as long as he doesn't do anything boneheaded and stupid like punching a guy while he's on the ground, which happened last night and gave the Packers 15 yards
Oh my.
and allowed them to score.
Or how about the unnecessary roughness that led to one of those Packer touchdowns in the fourth quarter that you back off. It's 3rd and 11. Instead,
Yep.
it's 1st
Yeah.
and 10, and then they on the couple plays later take it in for a score.
Yeah, absolutely. So, but George Pickens looks like the best. I don't know how you can have the best and worst trades of the offseason. That's the only thing that like Jerry Jones will do.
The duality of
The
Dallas.
duality of Jerry Jones is that you get a guy that's going to be a Pro Bowl wide receiver this year, and has shown it now for a 3rd round pick from Pittsburgh, and then you also trade away Micah Parsons. I don't understand it, Jerry, but
I mean, you got to realize now George is the premier wide receiver in that lineup. When I watched the lineup scroll last night, I was like, all right, yeah, there's Pickens, and then I'm like, Devontae Turpin, and who's a great returner, mind
great
you.
returner, and he's shown
then
some things.
And then Tolbert.
And Tolbert had Tolbert dropped the ball last week that he really shouldn't have, or it may have been against the Eagles. I can't remember which one and what loss he dropped the football. That it was there, and you're just sitting there like, if you catch that football, we win the game. So it was probably the Eagles then in my mind. But that throw from Dak Prescott last night in overtime.
Yep.
Oh man,
was maybe the best throw I've ever seen him throw as a Dallas Cowboy.
Yep.
You're telling me falling backwards off your back foot, you just place that ball right there, and then the concentration for Tolbert to come in and make that grab, dragging his feet.
Yep.
I mean, it was just insane. Now, granted, Micah Parsons finally showed up and saved the game for the Packers by chasing Dak down from the backside.
Yep.
So, that one, that kind of hurts, but it did not hurt nearly as much as I thought I was going to be as a Cowboy fan, sitting there and saying, we got 3 backup linemen in, and we are going to get smoked by Micah Parsons. And you were able to hold him. I didn't think it was going to be counted as a sack, but the NFL was, said that it was a sack.
And then now, if you're Dallas, I'm concerned that the tie may come back to bite both of these teams.
One tie is good, 2 ties is bad.
Yeah.
So
does that ever happen?
2 ties?
Oh, yeah.
A team getting 2 ties.
Yeah.
In a
Oh,
season?
yeah.
Absolutely.
It's happened.
So 1 ties counts as basically the way to look at it is 1 tie will always help boost up your record. When you have 2 ties, it counts as another loss.
Yeah.
So I'm looking at it. They have the Jets this week. I feel it's
on the road, but
I say that about the Bears. But it's the Jets. It's a game you should win. Then you're at Carolina.
Should win that.
Should win that.
Oh.
Okay. Then you're at home versus Washington. Okay. No disrespect to Jane Daniels. He's one of the best young quarterbacks in the league. You are supposed to beat Washington at home if you're a Cowboy, or if you're the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah.
That is what you are supposed to do. All right. So then you go to at Denver. Okay. Really good defense. Will be tough. Hopefully you are back healthy again. Trayvon Diggs, as much crap as he gets, that open field tackle that he made, that helped save the game for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
The Cardinals, I don't know when the new Call of Duty comes out, but I think it's around November 3rd, so I don't know if Kyler Murray is going to be ready to go or not.
Then you hit the bye week at that point.
Hit the bye week, but then it's Raiders at Raiders. So you're at Vegas. Then you have Philly at home, the Chiefs at home, at the Lions, Vikings at home, versus the Chargers, at the Commanders, and then at the Giants. So, I mean, that's a 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 week stretch. That stretch is going to determine your season.
Yep.
If you win the games you're supposed to win, going into that, and you come out 500 there, then you're looking at 11-5-1. That's a playoff.
That's a playoff. It's not the division, I don't think, but it's a playoff berth.
If this team makes the playoff in Schottenheimer's first year, you would have exceeded the expectations I've had, especially at the start of where you were to begin this season, trading Micah Parsons a week before the season starts. And shout out to Kenny Clark. I mean, really, Kenny Clark has played phenomenal. And he's stopping the run, which is what he is supposed to be. You brought him in, and you said all week when you made that trade, well, Kenny Clark helps us stop the run, and that's what we wanted to do is stop the run. And he has done that. It's just, can you find pass rush because you're playing so much zone?
Be interesting.
Yes.
Since me and Justin are Texans fans, the next stretch for them is you're at Baltimore, which is going to be a tough matchup. Unless, Lamar's not ready to go, then you feel a little bit better going into that. But still a potent defense they have.
And that's at Baltimore?
It's at Baltimore.
It's going to be loud.
It's going to be loud.
It's a winnable game for the Texans.
It's winnable, but it will be tough.
And then, then you hit the bye week, and then you have to go Monday Night Football on the road in Seattle. So late kick, longer week of practice, but you got to travel. And then you're home for 3 straight. Niners, Broncos, Jaguars. There's winnable games in there. Niners will be tough because CMC's doing numbers for me on my fantasy team right now. But they're still trying to find their identity under Mac Jones.
Yeah.
And then the Broncos and Bo Nix, you never know what you're going to get, so that'll be interesting. And then you want redemption against Jacksonville, and you're at home.
Absolutely.
And you're at home. So
that's going to be the one to
you're going to
watch
be
in
facing
that
Brock
stretch.
Purdy, not Mac Jones. You're going to be facing Brock Purdy.
Will it be Brock by then?
Yeah.
Will he be back?
Brock had 309 last week, or this past Sunday, against Jacksonville.
Okay.
So you'll be facing.
I thought he was out. I thought he was out yesterday.
I also thought he was out.
Yeah, he was questionable, but he got ruled at the very last minute to be available.
You're right.
Okay.
You're right. I see that now.
Yes.
So, but that was a big win for Jacksonville, mind you. So, well, it'll be interesting. NFL is it's gonna be ramping up. There's 2 games tonight. Jets and is it too early to call this a tank bowl? Jets and Dolphins at 6:00 tonight on ESPN, and then Bengals Broncos. It's just 2 games where you're like background noise. That's kind of where I'm at on it.
Great way to describe that.
And then Week 5 kicks off Thursday, Niners and Rams. That'll be a good game at SoFi.
Well, if anybody wants to take a flight to Miami, tickets are only $60 to go to that game, Monday Night Football game.
If you leave now.
Only? What? On
Yeah.
what? Spirit Airlines?
No, I'm saying that to get into the stadium. So,
Oh, boy.
yeah, it's rough. It's here. You can fly to Miami for $117 right now.
So $177 to go catch a Monday Night Football game?
It's not bad.
Honestly,
Then you mix in concessions at that point. Not bad.
It's not a
Not bad.
terrible deal at all. The problem is you just have to watch the Dolphins.
And you'd have to fly to Miami. But
I'd be fine with that.
okay, now pivot away from the gridiron, because we talked a lot about the gridiron for the last hour. Time to talk some baseball. And it's first time in 9 years for us Astros fans that I was a freshman in college the last time Astros had missed the postseason.
I was about to go on my first deployment.
Sophomore year of high school.
So it's been a while since we've been.
As Stained would say.
Since we've been couch sitting in October. So here's how it shook out. American League, Toronto and Seattle get the byes to the ALDS. It'll be a battle of divisional rivals. Cleveland and Detroit on one side. Cleveland got the 3. Detroit got the last wild card by virtue of tiebreaker. And then you got your good old Boston-New York rivalry for a best of 3 in the wild card. On the other side, for the National League, Milwaukee and Philly get they get the byes. Milwaukee got the 1, Philly got the 2. Dodgers and Reds, of all teams, first time in 12 years in a full season, mind you, in a full season that Cincinnati's made the playoffs. And then Cubs and Padres on the other side. So just on the surface, I think it's going to be an exciting postseason, to say the least. But, it just stinks as Astros fans. We got to watch from the couch this year.
It needed to happen, unfortunately. This season, they had so many opportunities to clinch the postseason and didn't do it.
Yep.
Hopefully this is the slap in the face that they needed to make some changes in the organization and get back on track to where they need to be, because this has been 3 years coming. This has been happening since you fire your general manager after winning a World Series.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, the chickens have come home to roost, as my grandfather would say.
And, because you think about it in 23, you got back in decently, but then you lose to the Rangers. And
they weren't good in the regular season that year.
No, they weren't. And they were definitely not good last season in the regular season. And then
horrible.
you get embarrassed in the wild card round by Detroit. So
You went 5-17 against the last place teams in the American League
Yep.
in the second half.
yeah.
That's all it is.
That's what it came down to, is
look,
not winning games that they needed to win.
I don't
should have
see-
won.
Should have
yeah,
won.
it's
Yeah,
not a
should
need
have
to win.
won.
It's
My
a
bad.
should have won. They're 80-68, 81-68 on September 13th, and they finished 87-75.
That is disgraceful.
You were in first place in the American League. Okay.
At one point
At
of the
one
season.
point,
Yep.
you were 77-63. I think is when you were in first place after you beat them, and then you went 10-8. So it's just it's hard for me to say. I've seen a lot of people text and ask me, "Is the Astros dynasty over?" Right? I didn't know it was a dynasty because the media refused to call it that for years.
Mm-hmm.
And now all of a sudden that they're out, that now you're calling it that.
Yeah.
Look, here's the deal. You had so many injuries. Okay? When Yordan Alvarez doesn't play baseball for you, you are not as good of a baseball team as you are when he does. That is the bread and butter of this situation. Okay? He is your best player.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
When your best player only plays 20 games for you, you're not going to be good.
No.
In 2020, when he played 3 games for you, granted, you went to the ALCS because you had a lot of veteran leadership who had been to World Series and knew how to win in the postseason. But you had a losing record. You were the first team in the history of Major League Baseball to make a championship series with a losing record. Now, I don't want to get into, do the Astros deserve this for firing James Click after winning a World Series and, all the talk about the manager and everything like that. I don't want to get into that on this because that's a long, slippery road that I don't think that it is necessarily the organization's fault for having disagreements. When Jim Crane, like it or not, has spent a lot of money on making the Astros a winner. If you don't want to do what your boss wants you to do, they have every right to go find somebody else. I think Dana Brown has done a pretty good job, especially given the handcuffs that Major League Baseball put on the Astros to patch this team together. And what do I mean by that? When every team in Major League Baseball was cheating between 2017 and Major League Baseball is trying to silence me right now.
Yep.
But when everybody was trying to cheat, okay, the Astros were punished the most. They had their first and second round draft picks taken from them. Okay? Those are the kind of picks that are the lifeblood of an organization.
Yes.
Okay? Boston, they say, it was less severe in scope. Okay?
Cheating's
sure.
cheating.
Cheating is cheating. All right? You brought in the guy who orchestrated that whole thing for the Astros. Okay? And all of a sudden, the Red Sox only lose 1 first-round pick. And then, because they're bad and they don't win, they don't get punished anymore.
Yep.
And now, all of a sudden, Marcelo Mayer is their starting shortstop. That was the draft that the Astros didn't have a first, second-round pick in.
Yep.
You can't tell me that not having those picks did not impact the kind of trade you can make or the kind of players you bring into your organization.
No, you're absolutely right.
So this is what Major League Baseball wanted to happen.
Yep.
And I think it should be applauded for the Astros winning as much as they did for Major League Baseball trying to punish the organization as much as they have. So, I think next year you get healthy, you have pieces. Okay? I said it last week on the podcast. Preventative injury care. Let's get guys healthy. Let's not try to rush them back. We saw that what happened with Luis Garcia. He's out for next year because we tried to rush him back and bring him back. Right? So let's let guys get healthy and not try to rush people back in. All right? And let's go sign guys. I don't know what Michael Wacha finished at this year, but I was a big proponent of them bringing in Michael Wacha. He went 10-13 with a 3.86 ERA and struck out 136 batters. And he pitched 31 games. All right? He had a 2.8 WAR. You can't tell me that he would not have been able to help you this season.
Oh, yeah.
Those are the kind of guys you need to go out and find if you're the Astros. What veterans are available that we can sign for team-friendly deals while we get guys healthy?
Right.
And Dana Brown is fantastic
Yes.
at that. He is great at finding pitchers that nobody else has heard of and having them pitch their lights out.
Absolutely. Because
Nobody knew who
the
Steven
pitching staff
Okert
is
was
great.
before this year.
Nobody knew who Josh Alexander was before this year.
Jason Alexander.
Jason Alexander. Exactly. Nobody knew
no,
who
you
he
didn't
was.
know his name.
Right? And
no,
so
yeah. That's where that's our strength as
exactly.
an organization. Big
so
time.
we just have to find those guys. Also, I'm sorry, how many games? Oh shoot, I just pulled that tab down. But when I'm looking at this, okay, you lost the best reliever in baseball,
Yeah.
right? And you lost. Here, if you don't blow a lead to the Angels
One time.
You're in.
one blown
You're
save, you're in.
Yep.
Does Josh Hader win us that game? Yes or no, Carlos?
More than likely, yes.
Yes. Okay. If you win 6-4 versus Seattle when you had a 4-0 lead, and Seattle came back and beat you, okay, and you are able to throw Brian Abreu in the 8th, and King in the 9th or in the 7th,
Yeah.
and Josh Hader in the 9th, do we win that game?
Yes.
Absolutely.
Okay. If you beat Toronto when you lose 4-3 in 10 innings, does Josh Hader win you that game?
Yep.
You know, you had another one 4-3 in 12 innings against Texas, right? So I'm looking at these games that you're one game out. Your all-star closer who had 30 saves in the first half before being out, and we can again talk about everything, but I don't want to melt down. I don't want to sit there and be like, tear everything down, which is all I've seen from the Astros.
There's been a
Astros
lot
fans are
of
just saying, tear everything down, fire everybody, get rid of everybody. And I'm like, you have the team.
I have the list here of just everyone who Houston was missing on the last day yesterday.
Okay.
Yeah.
Read it out.
Spencer Arrighetti missed all but 7 starts.
Solid.
Ronel Blanco, Tommy John after 9 starts.
Yep.
You lose Luis Garcia because you rushed him back. That elbow injury after 2 starts.
Yeah.
Josh Hader. Lance McCullers was off and on the IL. Finished the season strong, though, so it may bode well for 26. You don't have Caleb Ort. You didn't have John Rooney. You didn't have Bennett Souza. You didn't
Solid
have
bullpen pieces.
Brandon Walter, or Hayden Wisniewski, Bearcat, by the way.
Yep.
So that's just pitchers,
Yes,
mind you.
that are all
Just
that
the
are all
pitchers.
bullpen pieces that anybody in baseball would love to have.
That's
Sousa
5,
and Ort especially
That's
was
10
really devastating to the bullpen.
10 pitchers, 4 relievers, 6 starters that you didn't have.
Yeah.
And then go to position players. Isaac Paredes, he missed 2 months with a hamstring. Jeremy
Devastating.
Pena missed less than equal to 35 games with a broken rib and a sore oblique. Brendan Rodgers missed the final 3.5 months. Jordan was limited to 48 games. You didn't have Zach DeZenzo for the final 4 months because he hurt his hand. Chaz was out for 6 weeks with an oblique strain. Jacob Melton lost 6 weeks because of an ankle sprain, had back stuff earlier on in the year.
Yep.
Jake Myers missed 2 months with a calf injury. Taylor Trammell missed 4 months with a calf injury, and then he ran into the wall in August, and you didn't miss some time there. So you were missing, 10 pitchers, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 guys that are position players.
An entire
The
starting
majority of
lineup.
them, an entire starting lineup. The majority of them of which who were key contributors to your team.
Yes.
Yep.
So
You can't expect the offense to pick it up with just Altuve, Christian Walker, and Correa.
yes, and
Yeah.
you know, Jake Myers was not the same guy he was coming back from the injury that he was going into it.
Yep.
He was one of the best center fielders in baseball. And then he gets injured, and then he comes back, and he plays like he's coming back from an injury.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
So, I'm sorry, you can't – I understand why people are frustrated because we have been so spoiled with the success of a team that was never this successful before. I get it. In the 80s, they were really, really good, right? The 90s, they were pretty good with the Killer Bees. And then for the first half of the 2000s,
Same thing.
same thing. And then after that, we had 10 years of just being the absolute laughingstock of baseball. All right? And then we come back, and we are the cream of the crop. We are the standard of Major League Baseball for 10 years.
And people hate us.
And people hate us, okay? We can't sit here and say we have to tear everything down. All I've seen in the past 10 years of teams saying we're going to tear everything down and start over again is nobody getting back to where they were.
Can we think about this for
Yeah.
a second? This is what someone tweeted out, and it's just to further reiterate that, no, we don't need to tear everything down. I'll say this verbatim. Quote, obviously, this is Astros Future on Twitter. Obviously, it's a disappointing season, but really hard to overcome all the injuries. Jordan played 48 games, Isak 102, Jake 104, Pena played 126. The Astros had only 2 starters make more than 14 starts. 36 different pitchers appeared in a game using 15 different starters. Josh Hader hadn't pitched since August 8th. Some players regressed, and there are areas to improve, but this level of injury issues is almost impossible to overcome, but they still won 87 games when you're running out of AAA roster. for the bulk of the second half.
There in the summer, man, it just felt like every time you opened up Twitter, it's like, oh, let's see who's injured today.
Yeah.
You know, it was really a barrage. It was nonstop. At a certain point, it almost became comical.
But the fact that Houston still managed to win 87 games and were in the postseason picture up until the last day. I mean, the pieces are there. They just got to get healthy.
Yes, and they weren't healthy last year either. I understand that they made the postseason and they lost, but they weren't as healthy as they could have been last year.
Well, that's what nobody talks about.
Everybody saying that we need to fire Joe Espada, I don't understand. No. Why do you fire coaches for winning games? Okay, should we have fired A.J. Hinch? No. I said last week. I'll say it again. I think he's the best manager in baseball. Okay, Detroit just choked away the division.
They did.
They just choked away the division.
Cleveland was 15 and a half games back of the division at one point, and they're the AL Central champs.
Yes. Okay, so it happens in baseball. The most talented team doesn't always win.
Yep.
Okay, so
it wouldn't shock me if Detroit makes a run here in the postseason.
I bet they do.
Like I'm looking at the postseason bracket. Okay, Detroit they play the Guardians, and then
they have to go play Seattle
game, and then they play Seattle. Okay, Seattle, show me what they've done to say that they are going to be a World Series contending team. You can't, okay? Same with the American League is wide open.
Anybody can.
Even if we're getting off our Astros soapbox, the American League is wide open. Detroit has just as much of a chance as the Blue Jays of getting out of there. I look at the National League as Dodgers versus Brewers.
I've said from the beginning that the National League will win the World Series this year.
Yes.
Just because from the regular season, the National League was just objectively better.
Yes. And so it's frustrating for sure. But if the Astros made the playoffs and we lost in the divisional round, are we going to sit here and start shouting that Joe Espada needs to get fired? The last time we fired a guy that made it to the postseason was A.J. Hinch. And then it led us down this path here.
Yep.
Okay? Everybody wanted to fire Dusty Baker. All he did was win a World Series. Okay?
Got us to 2.
Yeah.
3.
Got us
2.
No, he got us to 2.
2,
and
that's right.
Took us to ALCS,
Yeah, ALCS,
World Series, and then he won a World Series.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
Right?
And then lost another ALCS in 23.
So I don't...
I'm
trying to phrase it nicely. Stop being a whiny baby.
Yeah.
You don't... We have been too spoiled.
I will say what I've said from the. I said it to my friend BJ at lunch today. It was a great run. It was a great run from 17 to 20 to this last year of being in the postseason every year. For me, as an Astros fan growing up, watching just years of horrible baseball.
Yes.
I was I went to more games in 2011 than I have in the last 13 years since then.
Because tickets were like $5.
Because tickets were $5. You could sit up the first base line. You could, as a 13-year, you could run up to the wall and actually, watch the game up close. And no one would bat at night because we sucked.
Can't do that now.
And why are you saying it was a great run?
It
is. I mean, no. Well, I'm saying it can still.
Yeah, because we didn't make the playoffs.
That's what I mean. Is
that's why that
it was a great run of going to the postseason.
Yeah, but the run can still continue. Now,
I agree.
If next year we have a losing record and we just absolutely suck and all of our players are healthy, then I'm like, okay, well, you know what? Maybe it is time that we kind of start moving on and trying to rebuild. But some of the best teams and the best runs of all time, there's years where there are just things that are outside your control that you can't do anything.
The Yankees the last 15 years?
Well, that's just the Yankees being the Yankees.
They didn't even make the playoffs a couple years ago.
Yeah, 2 years ago they didn't make the playoffs, and then the next year they're in the World Series.
Yep.
Okay?
Yep.
And we're still talking about, their run in the 2010s and to the 2000s of how good they've been without making a World Series.
Yeah.
Okay? You can still – this run's not over. It's just not over. And
it's on pause.
I won't even say it's on pause.
It's on the 60-day IL.
Jim Crane said as long as he's the owner, he's going to spend money.
The window is open.
The window is open. Okay? And he's backed that up as an owner. He's spent money. He brought back JV last year.
Yeah.
right? So I can't sit there and say, well, now do I want us to just keep going back and bringing back guys that? No, I don't think we need to sign a 45-year-old Justin Verlander.
No.
Okay,
No.
but Carlos Correa played like an all-star when he came back to Houston.
Yes, he did.
Well,
Right?
It rejuvenated him.
Yeah.
Yes, exactly. So I just
Because he was just toiling in Minnesota.
yes,
So.
Yep.
he was not happy.
Now he's your third
He
baseman
made-
for 3 years.
For 3 years, he made a decision based on money, and I don't even say that. Scott Boras made a decision based on money,
Yeah.
Yes.
but now you have Carlos, who's going to be in a clubhouse with Jeremy Pena, who's about to become one of the highest-paid shortstops in baseball wherever he goes, and he's going to say, "Hey, Jeremy, I hated leaving. That's why I waived my no-trade clause to come back. This place is special, and you need to and learn from me. Ask Jose if he's glad that." He signed a team-friendly deal, that still paid him a lot of money. Don't get me wrong. Jose Altuve has made a lot of money with the Houston Astros, but he could have made more off that MVP season.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
But he
he
stayed
stayed.
in Houston. Now what's the legacy that he has? He's the greatest Astro of all time.
Yep.
So, I think that the window isn't closed. We
No.
don't need to tear everything down.
No, we
No.
don't.
And I just see a lot of people that are on social media platforms talking about that. And they keep saying, man, it was such a good run. I'm like, the run's not over. I get it. We didn't make the playoffs. We finished one game out. Okay? One game out. This team, if they're fully healthy, Yordan Alvarez plays full season, Josh Hader plays anything in the back half after being an all-star.
You win 95
You're-
games
you're-
and you're the 2 seed.
Yes. You
Yep.
win the American League. You win the American League. I'm not even going to say you're the 2 seed. I'm just going to say it. You win the American League. When you look at the standings, how many wins did Toronto finish with? 94? So you win 95 games
You
and
win
you
the
win
league.
the league.
Yep.
You win the pennant.
There were 8 games that you could probably make the argument that Houston blew
I can
because
make-
they're missing pieces.
There's 8
Yep.
games I can make the argument that they blew, and there's 10 more games that I can make the argument that if Jordan's in there, the offense is completely different.
Mhm.
So that's my soapbox for the week on the Astros.
It'll be
Stop
It-
being a doomer.
it'll be interesting to see what they do in the offseason.
Yes.
And Crane will spend money, as you said. I think Fromber's going to get exiled, and they're going to move on.
Yeah.
Well, and I mean-
and then they can just go out and get a couple pieces in free agency, and get the team back where they need to be.
And I like what Dana's doing to build for the future too. The way he's drafted has been very interesting to me, especially this past draft, taking a high schooler with the first round pick. You can tell he wanted to go for a kid that he saw had a high ceiling, and he's like, okay, this is somebody I can see that I can groom to be the next great Astro shortstop by the time Jeremy Pena leaves.
You're gonna have a top 15.
He's got a vision. And if Hunter Brown finishes top 3 in the Cy Young, Dana Brown's going to get 2 first-round picks next year. That's going to be fantastic for
There
the
you go.
system.
So,
I keep dropping my phone. Sorry, guys.
but yeah, so and there's a lottery system now in Major League Baseball. So you have a chance at getting a higher pick than where you finished.
Mm-hmm.
You have a chance at getting a pick between 10 and 15. I don't think they let teams just jump all the way in to the first round pick conversation like the NBA does.
Yeah, I'm
But
not sure how
you
it
have
works.
a chance to move up in the draft now and start to reload a farm system that, as good as they have been with finding guys that are unheralded and bringing them into the system,
Mm-hmm.
you still don't have a lot of guys that I can dangle and say, hey, look, we'll trade you whoever.
And
for-
that's what I'm most excited
Yes,
for.
and
I'm
so
really excited
Dana-
to see what Dana does next draft.
Dana Brown is one of the best drafters in Major League Baseball. Look at the Atlanta Braves. He was the he was the director of draft scouting for the Braves before he came to Houston.
And I think
This
that's
is
why
what
Crane hired him.
Yes, this is what he does. Is he builds in the draft.
Yep.
And
Yep.
he is building up the draft in a sense that while maintaining the vision of we are going to be contenders for the next X many years.
I mean, heck, our minor league pitcher of the year was a 19th round pick last year, and he pitched out of his mind this year, and I'm so excited
Yes.
to see him next year. So
So-
the guy knows how to find talent.
He does. So
Yeah.
tough. It's tough to not be in the postseason, but on the flip side of that, I mean, it'll be kind of cool to just sit back and see how this is going to play out.
Yeah, my stressors are gone.
Who are y'all going for? Who's y'all's team?
I have an unpopular opinion on this podcast.
So, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah,
I was going to say,
first.
I do not like the Dodgers at all.
Nope.
You know, the whining and complaining when y'all were also cheating just really takes me out of it. But Clayton Kershaw is one of the best to do it. He's a guy from Texas, and one of the most down-to-earth, humble people you will ever meet. And I just think that it would be really awesome to see one of the guys who did it the right way be rewarded on the last year of his career. You know, he stuck by an organization. Now, granted, it's easy when that organization has a lot of money that they can give you. But he's never had a scandal. He has always been about doing things the right way. He's never, you know, he's a guy that I can't not root for. And I love seeing guys like that rewarded. The same with Freddie Freeman. It's so hard not to root for Freddie Freeman. He's such a genuine person that I want to see people like that get rewarded in their life. Now, also, I would love to see the Tigers win it. I think the Tigers and A.J. Hinch. I want to see A.J. Hinch redemption after Major League Baseball forced the Houston Astros to fire him.
I think he's probably would be the last of those dominoes from that 17 season to find that redemption.
Yeah.
The Astros as a whole did that in 22.
Jeff Luhnow.
Jeff Luhnow.
Yeah, probably will not get to do that, unfortunately. But
in terms of, you know, related to the team on the field, I think Hinch is the last domino to fall. And Beltran's not going to get another job anywhere else. So so I'm thinking Hinch is the last domino to go. I would love to see. It pains me because they are a divisional rival, but they've never been to one. Like, it wouldn't hurt my heart per se if Seattle got to the World Series. Now, I'm not going to say they're going to win it. I said from the beginning the National League's going to be the team. Yeah. Whoever wins the National League will win the World Series. Doesn't unless it's maybe Cincinnati, which I don't know if they get past LA. That's beside the point. But
no.
It wouldn't necessarily hurt my heart if Seattle got to the World Series, or if they managed to win it.
I think we've had very different interactions with Mariners fans in our lifetimes for that. Now, granted, it would be a great story. I also think I'd love to see the Blue Jays.
Yeah.
You know, a Blue Jays team that
Springer's still there.
Springer's there. Kevin Biggio's
gone.
He's
but Will Wagner's there.
Is he on the? Did he make the postseason roster?
I don't know if he made the postseason roster, but I know he was playing for him.
It would be great to see Toronto because they hadn't won a World Series since '93.
No.
So much less been to one since '93.
Now, so
who is?
Will Wagner got traded.
Oh, he got traded, did he? Yeah. Oh no. What about Joey Loperfido still there? I liked him.
I loved Joey Loperfido. That was one of the ones that really hurt not seeing his emotion.
I know he was fun.
But my reasoning for Seattle is they arguably had the best hitter in baseball this year, Cal Raleigh.
Yeah.
I mean, if he had 3 more games this year, would have broken Aaron Judge's record.
That's insane.
For home runs in the regular season, in a single season at that. So I wouldn't mind seeing
the
Seattle.
American League record.
The American League record, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's right. Well, Bonds.
We can have a whole Barry Bonds discussion.
I know.
Because I will say this: I am pro Barry Bonds in the Hall of Fame.
Absolutely.
No, I'm with you on that.
But
so that would just be an echo chamber at that point. But
we all agree.
For the AL side, I wouldn't mind seeing Seattle or Detroit or Toronto. I could care less about. I could care less about the Cleveland. Basically, anybody but the Yankees and the Red Sox. And then on the National League side, League side, I wouldn't mind seeing Milwaukee get to the World Series. They're another team that's never won one. So it wouldn't hurt my. I mean, it would hurt my kid heart because the Astros and Brewers were former divisional rivals. But
see, I never got that part of the rivalry. The only ones I ever really was conscious of as a kid was the Cubs.
Cardinals.
Cubs and the Cardinals.
Well, the Cardinals. The thing is that the Cardinals beat the Rangers, and I was so excited for that.
Oh yeah.
Because I was bullied by Rangers fans at my school, because the Astros were just the absolute worst.
They were a joke.
And all the Rangers fans were like, well, the Rangers are in the World Series. I'd be like, well, y'all lost that World Series. So then in 2017, I walked in on November 2nd. 2017, I walked into school wearing that Astros gear.
Heck yeah.
Saying, hey, thanks for not winning that so we could be the first team from Texas to win a World Series.
Yeah.
My roommate at the time was a Dodgers fan, so that was pretty funny during that World Series.
So I wouldn't mind seeing that. I wouldn't hate to see Bryce Harper get a ring.
Thank you. Nobody's talked about Philly. That's who I'm going for.
I wouldn't hate to see Philadelphia win it. My late uncle was a diehard Phillies fan, so he had passed away before the Astros and Phillies met in the World Series. So I was a little bit torn on that one, just because we were so close with my aunt. But so I wouldn't mind seeing Philly win another one.
If the Phillies win, does the city of Philadelphia burn down? And if so, do they burn down Lincoln Financial Field? Because I could get behind that. I could get behind the Phillies winning if that is my reward for that.
If they burn the link down.
Well, it was so funny. Back in 22, the Phillies lost the World Series and the Eagles lost the Super Bowl. How funny would it be if now Eagles are the reigning Super Bowl champions
and Philly
and
wins the World Series?
That would almost be vindication for the
all they would need is the
22.
Flyers to win the Stanley Cup, which I don't think will ever happen in our lifetime. But anyway, so it'll be a fun postseason, just to watch, sit back and watch. But we'll see how the offseason pans out. All right, running short on time here as we're closing in on almost setup time for the Coaches Show. At Chick-fil-A tonight. Again, join us for that, 7 o'clock. Hornet Nation Coaches Show brought to you by Advantage Specialties and Chick-fil-A tonight at 7 o'clock. We'll be with head coach Todd Mabus amongst many other guests as well. One last thing. I was thinking, leading up to this show, what can we talk about that's not about sports, but still somehow tie it back to sports? Ooh. And I would say we're all foodies in this room. John is a connoisseur of Texas barbecue. I'm a proponent of just good seafood around the state. And Justin, you just eat about everything, I've come to realize. So for me and John at least, and you can chime in with however you just maybe the best foods you've had in your travels in the Marines or whatever.
Okay, interesting.
But for me and John, I was thinking press box food. And the good ones we've had.
All right, are we going college or are we going high school?
I'd say both.
But yeah, I'd like to hear both.
Because I was going to say
some of them high schools they feed you kind of
yes,
well.
absolutely. But I'm just going to say for college press box food, okay. Marge from Levi at Texas A&M is the absolute best. You've seen the food at Olsen Field.
Yep.
It is just some of the best. I had a fried green tomato burger that was fantastic. I've had loaded waffle fries that are fantastic, and the Rally churros are still undefeated in the press box at Olsen Field. So I think that's kind of cheating because I was doing my research. I was going back years to find out what food that I've eaten in press boxes and where it ranks. And then today I was driving up and I was like, man, how can I forget about that food? Because it is some of the best in all of college athletics, and you can't tell me otherwise. But my list compiled mainly of high school places. So I have 3. Okay, number 1, Lufkin High School. All right? It was a chicken pasta that they made, chicken spaghetti. It was fantastic. The culinary program at Lufkin cooks the food for the press box.
Okay.
And it was just
on the money.
It's on the money. It's so good. I'm a huge chicken spaghetti fan. Fantastic. That was great. Number 2, Temple High School. Okay. They have a sweet old lady that comes up there and she makes like chili and stuff for Frito pie, just among other things. And it's fantastic, and they also bring in some Rudy's barbecue as well. But, I mean, this lady's been bringing food up there since Coach McQueen was the coach at Temple. So, that was just fantastic. And the times that we've been up there, it has never missed. And then, number 3, I got to go with where I was 2 weeks ago, Waco ISD, Bush's Chicken.
Oh, yeah.
Just, it's great. It's fantastic. It used to be really good before COVID. They would just have all the tenders up there, and then they'd have okra and corn nuggets as sides. Now it's tender sandwiches, but they're still fantastic. And then rounding out the top 5, number 4, Allen. They had, when we were there facing Lucas Lovejoy and the Tom Landry Kickoff Classic, they had this company come in that catered burgers and things like that, and it was some of the best burgers I've ever had from a press box standpoint. And number 5, New Caney ISD Stadium. I think
Randall
you've been
Reed?
there. Randall Reed, yes.
Yep, I've been there.
They had a candy bar when we were up
Yes.
there. Yes, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And it is a fully stocked, every kind of candy you could want.
Yes.
And there are no limits.
No.
You just take what you want and you take it.
It was divine.
Yes.
I was
exactly what you're talking about.
We went there for West
Yes.
Fork last year, and I was sugared up.
Yeah.
And it was.
Wait, I don't remember that.
That's number 5.
You don't remember that?
I mean, I was producing, so I was setting up the whole time. Maybe
You
I
never
just
left the room. That's why.
Yeah,
Man,
you missed out.
You didn't tell me about the candy bar? Wow.
Candy bar. It was great. So that's my top 5 at the high school road, and then just anything that Marge does in that A&M press box and Olsen Field is just going to be number 1.
I don't know if I have a top 5 per se, but I'll just run through some of the highlights I've had in my career. I'll start chronologically. So back up to 2021. Me and Jordan Smith, our former executive producer here and one of my best friends, we had the pleasure of calling the entire 2021 Southland baseball tournament in Hammond, Louisiana. So just about an hour and a half north of New Orleans. And we were thinking like just how the season had been going. I was like, well, we don't know how long we're going to be here, but we got a hotel for 2 nights, so we're all good. So we get to our spot in the game, and we're off and going and everything. And then me and Jordan are in the middle of calling that first game against Lamar. Mind you, this is 9:00 in the morning that this game's being played. We had to play. We went 3 straight days of having to get up at 6:00 every day to get ready for a game. But for the food, we just started catching a whiff of just something that was just absolutely divine. Come to find out later, once we were done calling that game, we walked down there, and this guy's just cooking jambalaya underneath the stands.
That's very Louisiana.
He's just cooking jambalaya. They just got the big pot out there. He's mixing it up and around and everything. And me and Jordan looked at each other. It was like, all right, we're going to go this. And he was like, we asked, how much is it? It was like $5. And I was like, okay, $5 for a little to-go thing. And we take a bite.
It's probably the best jambalaya
I've ever had, and it's underneath the stands at Southeastern Louisiana's baseball stadium.
Yep.
We collectively spent $80 of jambalaya while we were there. That is all we ate while we were there. It wasn't even something being offered by. It was just a guy that came out to the stadium and they allowed him to cook it. So that was good. I would say another one maybe more local. The New Orleans Bowl press box food at the Superdome was pretty solid. They had the typical New Orleans food. They had gumbo there. They had etouffee. I don't remember off the top of my head what the main entree was, but it was good food there. So they took good care of us. The last game at Bauer Stadium before they have started the renovations over there, the game right before the bowl game, they also had a vast array of Cajun options, and oddly enough, it was to die for. So that stuff was pretty good. And then I'd say for high school, I mean, the nachos Friday night were pretty solid.
Oh, did they have nachos?
Yeah, they had nachos at Huntsville ISD.
Huntsville ISD
so
always has some good stuff.
They were bringing out some good food. They brought out some good food so far this year. But I would have to say this wasn't maybe so much the press box. This is just the concession stand. The concession stand at White House, when we would go there for baseball and softball. This is some of the best Frito pie I've ever had.
Oh yeah.
Like I don't know what they did to it, but it was just it warmed your soul when you're getting ready to go call a game like against White House, or we did a lot of playoff games at White House my first 2 years here. And it makes you feel good after you drive for 2 hours through the backwoods of East Texas to go to those ball games. So that would be some of my faves.
Interesting.
What'd you have?
Yeah, I'll change the pace a little, talking about press food. You brought up a couple of things to mind when you talked about stuff I ate while I was in the Marine Corps. When we were in Singapore, so the way Liberty worked in Singapore is, you get off the ship, you have to walk over to this little bus station. The bus takes you to this security checkpoint, then they kick you off at some mall in Singapore. It's this big old mall. Last night we're there. I'm like, all right, what do I want my last meal to be before I have to go back to eating Navy food for the next month and a half? I ordered this roast duck at some little hole-in-the-wall shop there at that mall area. It is the best duck I have ever had. It was like duck, fried rice, and little strips of like green bean and red pepper. Oh my goodness. It's been almost 7 years and I still think about that meal like to this day. It was absolutely fantastic. It was one of the best meals I've ever had in my life. And then I had to go back to eating Navy ship food for a month and a half. So I was a little depressed because I'm like, man, this meal is so good, but I'm not going to get to eat like this for a considerable amount of time. So it was kind of depressing.
Yeah, depressing.
And then anytime you come back from a long field op, Camp San Mateo, where I was stationed, they had this little burrito shop called Ramon's. The Cali burritos there after like a 10-day field op where you would just been eating MREs for 10 days straight. Oh my gosh. Like, we would always send somebody from the squad to like run to Ramon's while the rest of us are at the armory cleaning our weapons. Mm-hmm. And you'd just bring like a bag of like 10 Cali burritos back, and we would just devour them while we're sitting there cleaning our rifles. Yeah. It's more about the feelings. You're like, I'm back from this 10-day field op, and now I'm about to get to go home, and I'm going to eat my burrito.
Because at the end of the day, when it comes to food, it's the feeling it gives you. Yes. It's not just the food itself. It's the feeling that it gives you.
Absolutely.
And but not maybe so much after you eat it, but
I'm still chasing the high of like experiencing the joy of eating a Ramon's burrito after a 10-day field op to this day.
At some point on this podcast, I'll have to like dive into some of the foods that I've just had traveling in some places, especially like Hawaii a few weeks ago.
Oh, without a doubt, man.
We'll have to talk about it on the show.
Oh, yeah, that would be an interesting segment. You find those little
spots that you're on the road and you're just like, man,
All I'm thinking about right now is this restaurant in El Paso.
Yeah.
Because we're staying in El Paso on Wednesday night, and all I'm thinking about is this one place. I don't care if anybody else goes with me or not. If I'm by myself, it is what it is. I'm going.
Hey, if 10 people are from SAM are going there, you're one of them.
Yes.
If 5 are going, you're still one of them. If only one's going, it's you.
Yes,
and if no one's going, you're dead.
So it'll be. I'll have to talk about it next week on the show. But
absolutely,
that'll do it for our show today. We appreciate y'all tuning in. Those that tuned in, don't forget you can watch this podcast and listen to this podcast anytime on demand on the KSAM YouTube. Still working on the kinks of getting it on Spotify and stuff like that. Our former executive producer Jordan Smith has not shown me how to do that yet. So. We'll make that happen here before long and push it out over social media. Don't forget, follow us on Facebook, KSAM Sports. Beyond the Mic will have its own little social media at some point. So, John, you said you were going to spearhead that. So
I'm working on it. I'm trying to figure out. I don't want to pay 2 things for pro,
right,
or professional Twitter, whatever it's called. So
premium.
Premium.
Yeah.
So, but we're getting some things underway, and it's gonna. It should be done here about the next month or so when our lives kind of slow down. This might be the week that we do it because I'm off this week, so I have no. You'll have
some time, and middle of October for me. That's when my time will start to drop off, but I'll have to start thinking about basketball. So it'll be interesting. So coming up on next week's show, there'll be more. I'm sure NFL to talk about. There'll be more college football to discuss. We'll have a Sam game to talk about. I'll have a Huntsville game to talk about. I'll talk about the P&G game. So it'll be a lot of fun coming up next week. I don't know what day will come on just yet.
Sunday or Monday. It's going to be Sunday or Monday, folks. If it's more of a loaded NFL weekend, usually we'll push it to Monday. If we look at the NFL schedule and it's kind of just then we're gonna shoot for Sunday because we're going to have college football, and I think when we get into basketball, there'll be more of it'll probably stick to Sunday. There's not a lot of Sunday basketball games being played.
When I get into CUSA play, there are going to be a lot of Sunday games.
Do y'all play on Sundays?
It's Wednesday, Sunday, Thursday, Saturdays.
So then we'll probably do some Monday.
It'll be a bulk of Mondays once we get into the wintertime. So,
but yeah, just stay
That works
tuned.
for me.
We'll once we get, this week I'm gonna sit down. I'm gonna finish the Twitter this week, and then just stay tuned on there. We'll have the Twitter out. We'll put that out on KSAM social, so you can follow that and just stay there for any updates, anything like that. I think maybe not next week, but in 2 weeks we might try to get our first guest on.
Yep.
So stay tuned for that. We have some big ones in the pipeline that we can kind of reach into. So hopefully that we'll be able to sort that out and get everything started there.
Yep, absolutely. So, but that'll do it for this week's episode of Beyond the Mic. For Justin Hardcastle and John Clendenin, I'm Carlos Zimmermann. Don't forget, Coach's Show tonight, Chick-fil-A. Join us for that. We're gonna break all this down, put it into a box, take it over there. So it'll be a good night tonight. And then join us next week for our next edition of Beyond the Mic. Have a great rest of your Monday and a great sports week. And as always, friends, have a pleasant tomorrow.